like to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the grandmasters, the masters, and the mercy of the predecessors, transmitters, temple hosts, and other lecturers to give me this opportunity to continue this discussion on what we call Buddha nature class, or on from the looking at the Six Patriarch Platform Sutra. All right, I mean, probably some of you will know what that Platform Sutra is. Okay, but all right. So it's hard to come in cold. All right, I'm talking when I say cold, meaning you know nothing, okay, or have no basic understanding of what the sutra is. All right, so that's why. Well, in the Buddha nature class, we call it the Buddha nature class. Actually, you can approach it from any sutra, but in this case, because we're dealing with the Platform Sutra, Six Patriarch, we have to read Platform Sutra. All right, so I recommend that you go online. I mean, there are many translations. They're all superficial, all superficial, all very superficial. But the whole point of the Buddha nature class is to go beyond the superficial translation, or what we call the standard translation of the sutra. Okay, in this case, the Platform Sutra. All right. So that's the whole idea, and that's what we call lecture lius, which is the handout that we'll print for you. Okay, he has 44 classes on the Platform Sutra, 44 lectures, basically 2-hour lectures. Okay, so that's 88 hours. All right. So we have to do your homework. Okay, all right. So to get anything out of it, we talk about how useful is it to you? Well, if you just come and listen to me once a week, or not to me, but anybody, and talk about this, and you don't, and the other 6 days of the week you don't make an effort to read it, to learn it, to understand it, then it's not going to be very useful. I'm being very, very straightforward. All right. So I'm just saying that we have to do our homework. If you really want to learn, if you really want to get something out of this, then you have to do your homework. I'm sorry that there's no substitute. There's no substitute, right? If you're hungry or you're thirsty, I can't drink for you. I can't eat for you to satisfy your thirst and hunger, right? I can't. You have to do it yourself, right? Okay, same idea. All right? Okay. So now we are at the point of chapter 2, we call it chapter 2, prajna, you see it, right? Prajna, chapter 2, which it's called wisdom, but we'll explain what that means, okay? That's the translation. And it's the fifth lecture, right? October 24th is the fifth lecture, okay? Fifth out of 44 lectures, okay? So think about that. So we're a little over 10%. 10%? Yeah, is that 10%? Yeah, of the way, okay? Right? Yeah. Fifth of the 44, right? There are 44 lectures by Lecture Liu, okay? All right, so this is basically the start of chapter 2 called, I didn't bring the sutra, yeah, but, it's very short, actually. It's very short, right? But it's called prajna. So what's prajna? Prajna is a Sanskrit term. Anybody know what prajna means? It means wisdom. But that wisdom, we have to be very careful. Okay. That wisdom is different meaning. What the book, Six Patriarch. The Sixth Patriarch. I mean, I don't want to go into detail about who the Sixth Patriarch. If you don't know who he is, I suggest you go to the internet and read up on who the Sixth Patriarch is. All right, because we don't have time for that. All right, okay. But when he, or any Buddha really, when they use the term prajna, which is a Sanskrit term, it's a Sanskrit term. Okay, what does he mean? That wisdom, yes, the standard translation is wisdom. But what does that wisdom mean? Wisdom does not mean what we learn, get it? Or what we experience. Yeah, we can say that's some kind of wisdom. That's true. Oh, I experienced that, right? So next time I encounter a similar situation, I know better, right? That you can say that's a type of wisdom. It's a learning. But that's all based on our consciousness. So what what six patriarchs use the word prajna, wisdom, does not mean that type of wisdom, right? The wisdom he's talking about is, we add a qualifier. We call it divine wisdom, right? Okay. It means that wisdom comes from our essence. It comes from our quote unquote. Well, it comes from our Buddha nature. But then we have to then define what Buddha nature is. Okay, unfortunately, it just means it comes from the source or our essence, which it has no beginning, no birth, and no death, no end, no extension. Okay, it's that essence. It's that Buddha nature. That's what we call Buddha nature. Okay, so every human being has that Buddha nature. Now, it's different from a soul. I don't want to go into that. That's why I don't want to go into defining what a Buddha nature is. All right, because over time, as we go through these classes, you'll get a feel, a sense of understanding of what Buddha nature is. Okay, because ultimately Buddha nature, we cannot completely describe it in words. I mean, we can describe it, but it's still not 100% complete. Okay, so understand that. Okay, just understand that. All right, but specifically this divine wisdom or this prajna, what he meant by prajna, by wisdom, divine wisdom, is that it's that wisdom that comes from that Buddha nature, from that essence. Okay, that essence which has no beginning, no end. In other words, it's eternal. Okay, so it's not the essence. It's not the wisdom that comes from our brain, from our thinking mind. You get it? From our conscious thoughts, or from a book. Yeah, you can say, any book, you can get some wisdom out of it. That's potentially true. That's potentially true. But that's different. You see? That's not that prajna. Okay? So this is called, that's why sometimes we say it's maha prajna. We call it maha. Maha, moho, right? What's the moho, right? What's the translation of that? Moho, maha. Moho. I mean, that's a phonetic translation of the Sanskrit term, fanwin, right? Yeah, it means great. Literally, it means great. But that great, I mean, if we want to describe what's that great, what does that great mean? Great. Big? Yeah, big, right? We say big. It's more than big. Yeah, in one dimension, you say it's big. It means it encompasses everything. Totally. Everything. 有跟无有. Okay, encompasses everything. That encompasses, you can say, existence and non-existence. It just, to get a one view, one dimension, perspective, is that you can say it encompasses all the imaginable and unimaginable space and cosmos. That's one view, one way of understanding that moha, maha. Okay. So what it means just means that our Buddha nature, our essence, that eternal essence, right? That essence that has no dimension. It's dimensionless. It's timeless, right? 无时间, has no time. It encompasses all of that, what we could imagine, all this space. Okay, and that's this indescribable or infinite space. You can say infinite space that contains everything, right? Our galaxies, the stars, etc., etc. But there is an essence that pervades, 观, that tong, that encompass, that fills. You can say, okay, that fills up. You can say fills up this space. It's our essence. It's our Buddha nature. Get it? Because if there's no essence, and you just have this space, then that's wrong. That's wrong. That's erroneous. And that's called 完空. Okay, that's like emptiness or vacuum. We say vacuum, right? We call it vacuum. 真空, vacuum. So be careful. So don't think of that, oh, there's this emptiness and there's no essence. Then that's wrong view. Okay, that's a wrong view. Get it? That's a wrong view. So Maha implies that there is a what? This great infinite space, right? Indescribable space. And yet within the space, everywhere within the space, every micro space, okay, contains this essence. You get it? Okay, and that's what Maha means. Okay? Now, in Chinese, they use another term to describe this Maha or Moha. Is you can say 真空妙有. That's another way. Okay? 真空妙有, right? 真空 literally means what? True space? Yeah, empty space, true emptiness. You can say they call it true emptiness, yet there's a marvelous essence. You get it? That's Maha. That's really Moha. Okay? That's Maha. Get it? So it's that wisdom, the prajna of that Maha. You get it? Of that Maha. So it's our Buddha wisdom. Another way, a simple way, is called our Buddha nature wisdom. So now you have an idea of what Buddha nature is like, right? It encompasses all this, and yet it pervades. That means it's there, right? You can say it's there. All empty space, or all emptiness. Get it? Okay, so that's the difference between that, we call it true emptiness, with this wonderful or marvelous essence, as opposed to a void or a vacuum. Well, vacuum is probably a better word. Okay? That's the difference. All right? Because if it's a vacuum, then you're talking about, you're heading down towards the side of what we call nihilism. Because then nothing exists. You get it? So that's dangerous. That becomes a duality, right? That becomes a duality, right? Nihilism versus physicalism. Nihilist versus physical. Okay? Or eternalism, whatever. Okay? So that's a duality. Okay? So that's what Maha Prajna means. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, but some people don't believe in God. I mean, no. But see, yeah, it's hard to. That's why I'm saying it's hard to describe at that very high level. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So now we're speaking Buddha nature, right? We're speaking Buddha nature now. From the religious perspective, just so that we understand. Okay, so you have a maybe more a better perspective, or okay, is that from a religious perspective, they say this essence, this true essence, people refer to it as God. That's one view. You get it? That's one view. Okay? And so how do you reconcile that view that, oh, well, we talk about Buddha nature, and yet religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, mainly, right? Talk about this notion of quote-unquote God, right? Supreme creator, whoever, right? Jehovah, Yahweh, etc. How do you reconcile that concept, or that interpretation, that view, that concept, versus what we talk about Buddha nature? And here's the link. You can say, the best way to describe it is that our Buddha nature, this essence that I called it, right? This essence is really, you can say, part of God. You can say it's part of God. Or we can say comes from God, if that's the case. I mean, you can say, because to say comes from God, you can say it's part. Understand? So that's the linkage. Okay? So in that sense, you can say all of us, right? We all have a Buddha nature, right? Remember I said that, right? All of us, you can say, are part of God. And we are. We are. Because and that is what in the Bible, in Genesis, remember it says, when God created man in his own image. Remember, right, in Genesis, in the Bible, in the Old Testament? It's not the physical image. In other words, God doesn't look at it, because then there are a million different human appearances. So, no, that doesn't mean that. It just means that on the quote-unquote spiritual, what we say spiritual, meaning non-physical, right, the non-physical sense, we are the same as God. Or, are from God or part of God. Make sense? And so the essence, what I meant by, see, I don't like to use the word spiritual because then, we go into defining, different soul spirits. That's not it. That's still, how can I say, not eternal, okay? Yeah, those are just, manifestations, okay, in this physical realm, okay? Or the spiritual realm, we can call it that way, okay? It's really our essence, our that indescribable being, if you will, okay, comes from God, it's part of God. See, and that's our Buddha nature. You get it? Okay, so that's the link between our Buddha nature and we say God. We call it God. Okay? We use that concept God. And that's where, all right? So that's why in our Tao, we don't mention God as much, but we focus on the Buddha nature. And the reason why is because each one of us have the Buddha nature. Because when we go around talk that oh, you are God, that kind of like, doesn't make sense, right? Because then there are many gods. Then if you have a God, I'm a God. See, that's not, that runs into trouble. You get it? Okay, so we don't talk because there's only really one, quote unquote, God, one essence. That's better. And all our Buddha nature is from that same essence. Get it? Okay? So that's why we don't want to use the term God for each person. You get it? So that's the difference, okay? But actually we're talking about the same thing. Religions talk about God, yeah, we all belong to God, blah, blah, blah. It's actually, our essence is the same as God because it came from God. Why? Because that essence is not created or being. It already exists. It always is. It's timeless. Remember I say timeless? It's eternal, in other words. Right? It cannot be created or destroyed. Our soul and spirit can be created or destroyed. So I don't want to go into that, but that's another class. That's later on in the future. Okay? So just understand. And so that essence, because it is so hard to describe, I'm still talking it's very abstract. It is. It's very abstract. Right? It's very abstract. So we need to kind of like describe it in a non-abstract way. Or more, right? So we talk about prajna. Get it? Prajna, which is wisdom. So wisdom it's still kind of abstract. Yeah. But wisdom is at least something that we can, how can I say, we can not feel, we can experience maybe, or we can identify with, right? Right? You say, oh yeah. Okay, and here's what I mean by wisdom. When we are at the level of, let's say, at a very, I don't say, high level, okay, we can say, or very, let me qualify by saying what would be a high level, meaning that when we are in, quote unquote, in touch or in tune with our essence, let's say, with our Buddha nature, right, that wisdom becomes more apparent, or in other words, it arises without ever thinking. So for example, let me use a very, very basic, everyday example. Some people say, oh, I have a sixth sense, right? Sixth sense, right? The sixth, okay, we know what the five senses are, right? Okay? I mean, actually, the sixth consciousness is your mind, but I don't want to use, that's I don't want to confuse you guys with that, okay? But when I mean, we all know what the five senses are, right? Right? The five physical, ugenma, right? We all know what that is, right? So when in the Western culture mind, when we say the sixth sense, it's anything beyond those five, right? Beyond those five, right? Something that's inexplainable and something that's not learned, right? I don't. Maybe Harry Potter does, but I don't read a book, a magic book of spells or whatever, to get my sixth sense. You get it? Okay, that sixth sense comes from, it's something. It's like, we say intuition, but it's really higher than that. Yeah, we say gut feeling. So what I'm trying to get at is that sixth sense, quote unquote sixth sense, okay, comes from that prajna. Understand? You get it? I mean, that's the higher level. Not from some book of spells, okay, or whatever voodoo or whatever. That's not it. You get it? You're trying to understand? Okay? Yeah, because people say, oh, sometimes I read a magic book. I have a higher awareness, right? That's beyond my five senses, right? Be careful. That's not it. Because that can be created or destroyed. That has limitations. But this Mahaprajna that comes from our Buddha nature or the essence, it's not created or destroyed. It's always there. It's always there. Now, okay, I'll answer later. I'll go. It's always there. And it's unlimited. It has unlimited power, you can say, or unlimited reach. You get it? Because it comes from our Buddha nature, or like God. Okay. Now, people say, well, how come I don't have it? How come I can't get that Mahaprajna? Very simple. Very simple. Where's the sun today? Where's the sun? You see the sun? You guys see the sun? Why not? Why not? Clouds. Yeah, clouds. Right? So does that mean that the sun doesn't exist? If you don't see the sun, right? You see clouds on it, right? So it's the same idea. Our Buddha nature, quote unquote, essence, always exists. The reason why we don't sense that, or we don't sense or our manifestation, we don't manifest the Mahaprajna, is because why? We have quote unquote clouds covering it. And what are the clouds? The three poisons, attachment, passions, all that. Get it? Ultimately, really, the higher level, we use our mind too much. We use our consciousness too much. We use the ego. You get it? We cling to our ego. Huh? Oh, my view, my interpretation, your interpretation, me and you. You get it? Subject, object. That's duality. That's always changing. So that's not permanent. Huh? So the permanent thing I'm talking about, wisdom, quote unquote wisdom, is the Mahaprajna comes from not our conscious mind. Get it? Huh? The clouds. All we see is the clouds. The clouds have infinite shapes and sizes, right? Huh? It's always changing, right? Our mind is like that. Our conscious mind, I'm talking. You get it? So that's why we don't have this Mahaprajna. Because it's covered up. We use our mind. We think our mind is true, it's real, it's eternal, right? Some people say, yeah, my mind, my consciousness is eternal. When my physical body goes, my mind still exists. To some degree, that's true. That is true. But that's still not permanent. You know that? Okay, okay? Because you still are attached. You still have some attachments to the self or whatever. Or even let's say, you have some greed or some whatever, or temperament, anger, all that stuff. That's those clouds. You get it? Of that self. All right? So that's still not permanent. Okay? So that's still changing. You get it? So that's why we don't have prajna. We don't have Mahaprajna. Because it's covered up by our consciousness. Right? Ultimately, right? To make it more basic, we still have attachments, afflictions, the three poisons, all that. Okay? That's why. You get it? So that's the difference. Okay? Okay? We still think of our mind. Oh, let's see, I'm thinking, I'm analyzing. Right? We think, that's not our Buddha. Now, that's not to say that just because we apply things from the Buddha nature doesn't mean we can't think. No, doesn't mean that. You still think. But the source, you can say, the source of that quote-unquote thought is from our Buddha nature. You get it? Okay? It's just like saying this. Why are you sitting here? You can hear me. You can understand me. Who, quote-unquote, quote, who, unquote, is listening to me? My mind. Your mind. We say, our mind. Wrong. That's the wrong answer. A corpse has a mind. It has a brain, right? It's a brain. But they lack that Buddha nature. It's your Buddha nature. It's your essence. It's your true master, quote unquote, true master. You get it? It's that essence, that source, that's using your mind, our minds, our brain, and our ears, our sense organ, right, the ear portal, to listen to my words. And then you process it, right? You process it in your mind, right? But it's not the mind that's actually hearing. It's your Buddha nature that allows it to hear. You get it? So our mind is just a function, 功用. You get it? It's a function of our Buddha nature. Understand now? Our mind, even our mind, okay? And the five senses, I don't get confused. The mind is the sixth sense, okay? It's a sixth consciousness. The five sense organs are just nothing more than tools, okay? So now you understand? But the Mahaprajna, another way of saying, is really a manifestation, maybe you can say, right? So therefore, it's a tool, also an application of our essence. Get it? Of our Buddha nature. Understand? Because when we talk Buddha nature, we just say, oh, it's so abstract. What is Buddha nature? It's so you can't sense it, right? But we say we can feel it, right? We can experience it, all right? And that's that wisdom part. And so to get back, so when I say, to get back to the original example, when we say you have that sixth sense. So example, let's say if we are in tune to our Buddha nature, right, without all these clouds, right, without these attachment, desires, etc., okay, four marks, etc. Our Buddha nature, our prajna, our mahaprajna, our divine wisdom will reveal itself. Because there's nothing to cover up. Just like if there are no clouds today, you can see the sun, no? Okay? So I'm using the sun as an example to represent our Buddha nature, okay? All right. So there are times when if you are in tune, right, if you have less clouds, fewer clouds, okay, when we do things or when we think about things or when we deal with quote-unquote earthly matters or human matters, okay, it'll come without even thinking about it. You get it? Like sometimes, I mean, you probably hear stories. People say, let's say one day, this is my normal route. I drive to work, right? I take this road, that. But one day in the morning, somehow, without thinking about it or planning ahead about it, I decide to take another road, right? Another road to go to work. It's a longer road, but I got to work no problem. Then I found out later, the normal route that I take had a big accident or had a whatever natural disaster or whatever. I mean, I'm using I'm using a story, but there's a similar. I'm sure there's similar stories like that, right? You read about it, you hear about it, all that, right? So that inexplainable decision, quote unquote, to say, I'm going to take a detour or whatever, is a manifestation of that prajna. Understand? It's your Buddha nature, quote unquote, that says, oh no, don't go this way, you go this way. Understand? I'm just using a simple example, okay? I mean, so that's what I mean by that. You get it? So we say that's a sixth sense, right? Most people say, that's a sixth sense. I have this kind of not strange, or unexplainable, you can say, unexplainable feeling or thought or whatever. That, this, I didn't plan ahead, right? It just came, right? Understand? See, that came from our Buddha nature. Get it? It's not, because we didn't have to think about it. I mean, we didn't plan ahead, right? I didn't plot it, say, I'm going to suddenly have this thought or whatever, or this decision or this plan, right? It didn't. Get it? So it didn't come from our conscious, quote-unquote, conscious mind. You get it? So that's an example. I'm just using that example of our Mahaprajna. Understand? So the challenge for all of us is to be able to manifest, show, display that Mahaprajna 24/7. Now, if we could do that, you're Buddha. We call, quote-unquote, you're Buddha. Because that's what an enlightened being. And why? Because a Buddha has no clouds, right? Has no, no clouds, none of this human emotions, passions, afflictions, the three poisons, the four images, right? You know what the four images, right? Right? The ego, the personality, and the being and the life, okay? 我相, 人相, 众生相, and 受者相, right? 受者相 is the four, all right? So, and I guess, do we need to define what the four, we don't need to define it, right? Yeah, we don't have time. Yeah, so because there's so many concepts.
This prajna is, you can say, is awareness.
Yeah. You can say that another way of describing this Mahaprajna is called 觉, or we can say awareness. 觉, right? So 觉 is really, in Chinese means 觉, literally means to feel, sense, whatever, okay? But it just means awareness, meaning awareness of our Buddha nature, okay? Not awareness of our conscious mind. That's different, okay?
Or it's not the awareness coming from
Right,
the
from the
physical
conscious
senses,
mind,
those
right,
senses.
right.
It's not awareness.
It's the awareness that's from our Buddha nature. Get it? Okay, so that's another way to describe Mahaprajna, okay? All right? So now you know what the term Mahaprajna means. All right? So it's basically the wisdom, quote unquote, we call it wisdom, or the awareness, or the sense, you can say the sense that comes from our Buddha nature, not from our conscious mind, or not from any knowledge, or learning, or experience. Get it? Or memory imprint. You know, right? A lot of psychology or paranormal psychology, they say, oh, there's a memory imprint someplace, deep in our subconsciousness. Right? That's still conscious mind. That's still conscious mind. It's just different level. That's all. Right? Okay, we can go into technical detail. That's really the seventh consciousness, but I don't want to go into the technical details for now. But just understand for now, because in later lectures they go into more detail. All right, about the eight conscious minds and all that stuff. But that's okay. It touched upon a little bit on five skandhas, because I think he introduced five skandhas in this lecture or the next lecture. I forgot. But anyway. All right, so understand for now. That's a lot to know from what Mahaprajna means. Okay, so that's at the higher level. Okay, than just what we call this wisdom. Okay, all right. So now you know what the Mahaprajna means. All right, it just means it's that awareness, or what we call wisdom, awareness, and it's a function. You can say it's a function of our essence or Buddha nature. Get it? Right? Because essence is, you can say in Chinese they call it Ti, right? It's the Ti, it's the body. Or in Sanskrit, in Buddhism scriptures, they call it the Dhammakaya. Okay, or not the Dhammakaya. There's a term. Dharma realm. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't want to go into that deep. But it's called that. But it's, you can say its manifestation, its use, its application is the prajna. Get it? Okay? All right? Okay? Or in Chinese they call it 智, right? 智慧的智. 智 means wisdom, literally means wisdom. But so you have 体 跟智, right? You have the essence, which is very abstract, right? It's abstract because I can't describe it. I say it's everywhere. It fills that void or the emptiness, right? It's that essence that's God-like, part of God, you call it. And yet it's so abstract. And yet it's within all of us. I would say within. Right now we say it's within all of us, okay? All right, right now, okay, right now, for the moment, okay? And yet, so how do we, it has its use, you get it? And its use is what we call, in Buddhism, they call it the wisdom, the prajna, or in Chinese, they call it 知 or 觉, okay? 一个是定跟觉, or 本 or 体跟知, okay? Right? One is essence, and the other one is it's what we call its function, okay? Function meaning it can be used, it can apply, right? In many, in all things. Actually, its use is infinite, but that's the highest level, okay? That's Buddhas can do that, okay? We humans right now we're not at that level, so our use are still kind of limited, but it'll continue to expand as we become, quote unquote, more enlightened or more aware of our, or you can say, closer to our Buddha nature. Okay, so that's the function. Okay, so that's what prajna means. It's a lot. Okay, so but we have to understand that. So when the sixth patriarch is talking about wisdom, prajna, he's talking about that wisdom, that awareness of our Buddha nature that comes from our Buddha nature. Get it? Okay? Not from books, not from stories, not from life experiences, not that. Right? Understand? Okay, so that's what it means. Now, okay, so when because chapter 2 of this passage is when he officially, sixth patriarch, Huineng, officially gave his lectures, gave his teachings, his dharma. And he addresses his, they're his disciples, they encompass his disciples, but also lay people, the non-monks or non-nun, but who still are willing to learn, okay? So he addressed his audience called 善知识, right? 善知识. In Chinese, that's called 善. Now, depending on the translation, see, in English, it's very difficult to translate in very short, in like 3 words or 2 words. It's extremely difficult to capture the idea, the true meaning of 善知识, okay? So in this translation, he called learned audience. I mean, some people call, another translation called, what's another translation? That's why I didn't bring that, another book. But there are different translations. Okay, so all of these translations are very inadequate. You know that? Very inadequate. Learned audience. Learned audience implies that you learn something, right? It's intellectual, right? It's something that I learned, I studied, right? See, so actually in Chinese, so let's break down the terminology, because you're going to come across that term all the time. But just understand what that means. So that's why, we can read all scriptures, all sutras, like this one, the 6th patriarch, at a superficial level, at the superficial level, and then at a what we call Buddha nature level, or at the higher level. Okay? Yeah, good knowing. Yeah, one translation is learn on it. This one's good knowing, good knowing advisors. That's very literal. That's a very literal translation of the three Chinese terms called 善知识. Yeah, 善, it means good, superficially. Yeah, it means good. It means good. It can mean perfect too, okay? So that's what good represents, okay? 知 is that, it's literally 知识的知, right? But it also could mean wisdom too, okay? But he says it's good knowing. Yeah, I mean, at the superficial level it is. But really, he's, I just explained, okay, that's superficial, okay? That's the basic level translation. And then 士 in Chinese, literally, it could mean scholar. It means, oh, sorry. It means knowledge. Understanding, knowledge. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because Amy, did the wrong mistake. She used scholar. That's wrong, right? It should be 知识的识, 言旁, right? The 言旁, that's 知识. Okay, that word means, it could mean consciousness. It could mean knowledge. The mind. Okay, it can mean those things. The point is, it means something with the mind. Okay, all right. Now that's the superficial. So they use the word advisor. I don't know what that means. Yeah.
Speaks pleasure, talk to audience. Those audience learn the Dharma, become a Buddha. Oh, okay? That's what they call it.
善知识, yeah, but that's the superficial meaning. Actually, what 6th patriarch Hui Neng was very, very respectful, okay, of everybody. He himself is already a Buddha. 他是个佛. He's a Buddha. Now, his disciples and the non-disciples are not Buddhas yet, right? Because they haven't attained that level, right, of enlightenment, right? They still have clouds, right? We still have clouds, okay, covering up the sun, their essence. But he still addressed them. Now, the translation is good knowing advisors. It's not a good translation, okay? The actual, what Lecture Liu said, okay, and this is in his 4th lecture, 第四, okay, 第四个class, okay, 4th lecture, 第四个班,第四个班, is the translation of the higher level translation of 善知识 is really what? It's really what? Say it again? Yeah, that's okay. That's a little bit higher. Yeah, that's higher. Actually, we could break it down. Okay, it's really the better way of see. That's why it's kind of like we are hampered if we don't understand the Chinese term. We should understand it from this way. It's 善知 together.
善知善思
Yeah. 善知, yeah. But it's those two together, and then 四, okay? The third term, okay? The 善知, okay, is really referring to our what? Buddha nature, okay? 简单的说啊, to make it simple, okay? I could break it down. 善事跟知事, right? It's really that two aspects, the two aspects. Remember I talked about prajna, Buddha nature, essence? One is the essence. That's the san part. Get it? The san part refers to your ti, 本体, to our essence. You get it? And the 知 is the wisdom part. It's the prajna part. It's the what? Application part, 功用 part. You get it? So the 善知 together is that one. Get it? It's the oneness. It's the essence. That's what he was referring to. The six patriarchs, to everybody. You are all have that Buddha nature. You get it? You all have that 善知, even though our own, each one of us still have clouds. Get it? Okay? Now, that's what it means. Okay? 善知. It refers to our 本体跟功用 or 体跟知识体跟智慧 okay? Wisdom, okay? It refers to that. You get it? Okay? And then the third term, 是, does not mean knowledge, does not mean consciousness. Then we say 觉, awareness. So it means those of you, I don't want to say you, but all of us, okay, all of us. He addressed, the sixth pair addressed to all of us. He said, he is treating us, I don't say you, treating us no different. No different than as if we're all the same. So what he meant is when he's addressing the audience, he's saying, all of us are aware of our Buddha nature. Get it? Isn't that a Buddha? That's what a Buddha is. But the difference is a Buddha is aware 24/7. Get it? Every second, every moment. We, maybe in the class right now, we are a little bit aware. Then when we go home, we're no longer aware. Get it? There's a difference.
The key is
Okay?
Buddha. They have a Buddha nature.
See, so that's really the definition of 善知识.
Means every second,
Those of
Buddha
you
nature
who are aware of our Buddha nature.
They use
So do you
Buddha
human
nature
being?
to do everything. But they,
By definition, the Bodhi mind.
They
Get
act
it?
like
So
use
that's
Buddha nature to act.
明心,
Human
that's the
being.
明心 part, right?
We might sometimes use Buddha nature sometimes. Most of the time we
No,
don't.
not 见性, yeah.
Right?
见性
Use
means
our
you
mindset
realize it.
and
That's a
like our
Buddha.
thinking
But
to
we're
do
already
things.
明心 means
Okay? So our
So
mindset
he's
could
treating
change
us
from time to time. I naturally always use very simple examples.
You get it?
Okay? For
So
them,
that's very
we have a
respectful,
cup
even though you're
of
not aware,
water. The
yeah,
cup
quote
is
unquote.
beautiful. We like the cup
Right?
so much today. Tomorrow we broke our cup. We don't like it anymore. So
See, that's what 善知 means, is
the love we
the
love the
essence
cup.
and
It's
the
gone.
function or wisdom. You
Buddha
get it?
nature is not
The
like that.
体跟
It's
知
pure and innocent.
the
So
sun
it's
is
always there. That's
it's
Buddha.
perfect. It's just
The way
perfect
Buddha
essence,
love
perfect
us, they use the
thing
Buddha
or
nature
whatever.
to
Perfect.
mind to love.
What's perfect?
So forever will not change
The
at all.
essence. The
Human
essence is
beings
perfect.
always
Because
love
it's
each other.
indestructible,
Like husband love
eternal,
wife.
etc.,
Sister,
etc.,
children,
right?
all these
Indescribable
famous people
too.
love each other. Man, they could spend $1 million
See,
for
that's
a
the
wedding.
meaning. Get it?
Few years
So how do you
later, that
translate
love
that
is
term?
real,
It's really
for
concept.
real. Years later,
Aware of our Buddha nature.
it's
That's a
separate.
simple way of saying it.
They break.
But then you
Right?
have to
They
define
broke.
what that means.
Break
And that,
up.
right?
What happened? Where's the love they had before? So this is humans mind.
Knowing about it.
Humans heart. Humans
Meaningless.
mind. Not
It's
from
meaningless.
Buddha nature.
Or learned
Not from-
audience. That's
but
another
with the
term.
Buddha nature's love,
That's
that will
meaningless.
not change. Will be there forever. Okay? That's
Right. Yeah. It's,
unconditional.
no, 他讲的是你说事无量心嘛 ，yeah, 事无量心 ，yeah. There's the selfish, there's the because there's love, you can say compassion from a human compassion from an ego 我 from a ego perspective, you get it? 我相嘛，我相的 that's called we call it. Yeah, in Chinese they call it 私心, but it just means that with the ego. It rises from our ego. Get it? Yeah, ego has compassion too. I mean, Yeah. But it's limited to you. That's why we say 思. It's very limited. Okay. Let me go. See. That's why if you can understand what 善知识 means, you're well on your way. So sixth patriarch Hui Neng, he's very respectful. Think about it, right? He is dealing. When he's talking to addressing all of us, he calls us. We are aware of our Buddha nature already. Wow, that's enlightened being.
You treat everybody
Yeah,
like Buddha.
the same, right? He's treating everybody as if we're Buddhas. You get it? So better translation, the better translation of 善知识 is those who are aware, 觉, aware of our what? Buddha nature. That's really the better translation. Get it? Make sense now? That's the highest level. That's what we call this Buddha nature. Get it? Make sense? It's very important because if you're going to read these terms and they're going to say learned audience, good knowing advisor. What the heck does that mean? That's wrong. See, that's all superficial. Get it? Understand? So okay, yeah. All right, makes sense now. It's very important. Okay, so 善知识, very. It's another way of saying is 简单说是明心 those who already aware of our true mind, 心 mind, in this case 我们的本性. Okay, so that's 明心 part. Yeah, those of you who are, another way of saying in Buddha nature, since we're talking about Buddha nature, is those who are aware of the Bodhi mind. Get it? That's another way of saying 善知识. Okay, translate. Okay, understand now? I'm sorry it took so long, but this is very important because you guys are going to read this term all throughout the whole sutra. Get it? You're going to come across these terms, but understand it's not well-learned advisor or good knowing advisors. Doesn't mean that. Get it? Makes sense, right? Okay, thank you.